Hey guys, in this video I will be showing you how to set up and ignite a WhisperLite stove. So before we set up our stoves, we should look for a suitable area to cook on. Some things that we should consider while leading trips is that the area is big enough for all the stoves, it is a level, flat surface, and you should distance yourself from the camp, kind of away from the tents, away from all the participants, just so they don't bother you while you're cooking and get in the way. So now that we found our spot to cook at, we can open up our stove and see what's all inside. First thing is the stove itself. Then we have our pump that will attach to our fuel bottle. We have an instruction manual as well as a bag that has some pump cup oil and a multi-tool for the stove. And then finally we have two pieces of tinfoil pretty much that will help block the wind but also help distribute the heat back to the stove and make it cook faster. And then finally, while it's not in the bag but should be brought on every trip, is our repair kit for the stoves, and that will be discussed in another video. So once we have everything outside of the stove bag, we can start setting it up. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the fuel pump on the bottle. And it's fairly easy, you just unscrew this cap. And then to attach this pump, we're going to take the filter and put it in first, bend it around, and then screw it back on. And we're going to want to make sure it's tight and it's actually on the threads and there's no gaps in it that would cause a leak, because we don't want our fuel line to be leaking and catching fire. So now that the pump is on the bottle, we can start with our stove. And what we want to do first is we're going to want to clean out the shaker jet. And to do that is we just shake it, and we want to hear it moving up and down. So if you don't hear that, it could be either that the jet is broken or missing, or that it's so dirty that you have to actually take it apart and clean out the whole thing. So the first thing we'll do is we'll move these legs around, and they have little indents for each one to go to, like that. We'll place it on our level surface. Then we'll take our pump and we'll attach it to the fuel line. And this is important, we'll want it to be seated correctly and that have this gate fit in right there if it'll focus. So we'll want it to sit just like that, and we'll also want to make sure that there's not a gap here that'll allow the fuel to leak out. So once it's attached correctly like that, we can begin to ignite it. Alright, so now that you have it set up, the next thing we'll do is we'll pressurize the fuel, and we'll do that by pumping this 15 to 20 times. So once we have it pressurized, the next thing we'll do is we'll use this, which controls how much fuel we have going into the stove, and we'll turn it, open it up, and allow fuel to catch in this pan here. And to do that, I'll open it, and we should start to see fuel coming out in a second. And then once we see it starting to build up there, we're going to close it off. And so we do it as soon as we see fuel entering that pan, because we don't want it to overflow and spill onto the ground. And we just don't need that much fuel anyways. So now that we got the fuel in that pan, we can ignite it. And it's probably hard to see, but we're going to let that flame burn, and this will heat up this top part right here, which will then allow it to vaporize the fuel and turn it into that nice blue flame that we want. So as the fire begins to die out, we'll actually turn on the fuel again, and this will keep letting fuel out, and it will hopefully be warm enough to turn it into that blue flame. that's what it should look like when it's properly running. It's a nice blue flame. It's lit all the way around it, as you can see. And if there's any issues with that, then you'll have to take it apart and clean it out and kind of troubleshoot from there. So another way you can light the stove is after you've let it kind of preheat, and let's say the fire died out and you didn't notice, or you were busy with something else, you can actually just turn it back on. And you should start to hear that noise, and then you can light it, and it should be that blue flame. So in high winds, you're going to want to put the windscreen around the stove. And to start out, we're going to take our screen and just fold it in half. And then we're going to take our ends and just fold them over each other, like so. And then we'll fold them the other way just once. And then it'll end up like that. And then you should be able to just open up the entire screen and put it around your WhisperLite. So once you're done using your stove and you've let it cool down, we can start to disassemble it. And the first thing we'll do is just take off the fuel bottle, like that. And then there'll be a little fuel left over in this, or there usually is. So as you can see, it comes out, and you can just let that evaporate. White gas evaporates really fast, so you don't have to worry about it sitting there for too long. And then we can close this up. And we'll also want to give it another shake to clean it out a little bit more. And then once that's done, we can give it a little hook just to keep that fuel line away. You can hook it anywhere you want, and then we can load it all back up in the bag.